want to do this as quickly as possible because this is a kind of a by thought for me. But and this is not to address my buddy Steve in a previous post. I said, Steve, I was going to be talking about this outside of you, and I appreciate what you said to me earlier. So I appreciate that, man. So it's not about you. This is about, there are people in my life right now on the outskirts who are, I would call the David Voyeurs, who look in on my page and try to tell me what it is that I shouldn't say based off of their personal interpretation about me being a spiritual leader and a pastor. And the unfortunate part about this is that they believe that they have a right to speak into my life and that I don't have a right to actually express my own opinions. Unfortunately, that's kind of arrogant at best. But what I want to say is this, okay, just to kind of break it down real simply. First off, you don't know me. You've not walked a day in my shoes and you don't have my experience. And the people, and understand this, okay, I left my job as a civil engineer to become a pastor in 2014 to leave to go become a pastor of the Rock Church in San Ysidro. Now, you may have forgotten what I actually went through at San Ysidro just as an individual, but you also don't know what it was like serving on staff in January 2016 in that situation. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you really don't know me personally, okay? And then you don't know the ins and outs of what actually took place this summer of 2016 with me personally and the church. I had to make some decisions that I still to this day won't talk about because it's none of your dang business. But as a pastor, I've seen things and have been a part of things that I cannot speak about, but I've made decisions that were detrimental to myself, where people literally slandered me, lied about me, and deceived other people about me, specifically to malign my character. And that's from within the church. Then at SD Church, and that was completely separate from the Rock, and I didn't even leave the Rock to go to SD Church, but that was a rumor and a lie that was told about me. It is what it is. But at SD Church, a situation happened that was completely outside of me, where I had to actually basically put my foot down for people who I was caring about, and I got basically blamed for a bunch of stuff and scapegoated. And I won't talk about my other family member, but we went through hell. And that situation honestly was worse than the Rock Church and what happened there. But I'll tell you this, okay? And as you might be a person who's outside of faith and looking at this, understand, even me as a pastor, I know how dirty churches can actually be from the inside. And I totally understand not wanting to go to church. I totally understand it because they can be freaking terrible and very terrible to people. And they can hurt people terribly, especially pastors. It can be terrible, right? And I got loved ones that still serve at the Rock and who I still care about from SD Church and stuff. But there are other things that I just will never associate with myself with ever again in my entire life, ever again. So I'm dropping this in because I just want you to understand that when someone tries to tell me what I should and shouldn't say based off their experience and what they believe and their beliefs are about me being a pastor and a spiritual leader, I'm going to say this kind of definitively. You have no freaking clue what you're talking about. You have no clue what you're talking about. And then when you don't even know, I mean, even with my seminary, what happened there and how one group went against another group and literally destroyed that seminary. Of course, God works through it and, is doing some amazing things, but to see what a set of Christians will do and another set of Christians just for money, it is nuts. So if you are watching and you're not a Christian, understand, like, there's some bad things within the church, and I've seen it before. And it's hard to even digest and comprehend, but it does happen because people are people still. And you want to be, you want to be a part of a congregation that actually loves the Lord and honors God and stuff and doesn't treat his people like they're a bunch of numbers and money. So, and I get that, okay? But just understand this, okay? If you ever want to drop it on my page and tell me that you're a spiritual leader, you shouldn't be saying this or that, you have no clue what you're talking about. You have no clue of my experience. You didn't leave one profession to become another and then have to go back because of situations that happen that are outside of you. You have no clue what you're talking about. And the unfortunate thing about this is that what you're doing is you're showing your arrogance. And you're also showing your lack of maturity, your lack of ability to even know and understand people. Because not all people, even not all pastors are built alike. Every single one of us is here for a different reason. I know what my role is. And I know too that if I'm going to say something, I need to say something, I will. Because that's actually a piece of what my role is. But if that makes you afraid, that makes you scared, that makes you angry or anxious, and you need to hop in and try to control me, just understand this. You will never control me. And you will never be able to speak into my life that way. And if you think that you have that ability, just understand this. I'll put you in check in a heartbeat.